And according to this, we are live. Hello, everyone. In case you got in that nanosecond, welcome to the Day 3 Tubbering Introspection. Said it all weird. We're going to go over zoo hypothesis. First, we're going to give people about 5 minutes or so to log on so they don't miss anything. I hope you're all doing well. Do anything exciting today, Rob?
Went hiking in the Hollywood Hills and worked on a soundtrack that I'm trying to finish up for a show on HBO, which is fun. And that's about it. And mastered like about 1 million songs, it seems like. But, yeah.
Were there a lot of people out on the Hollywood Hills?
No, it was pretty vacant. We didn't really see a lot of people. The other day when we went hiking, there was a lot more people for some reason, just a couple days ago.
You will see I got the new, wait, this way. It's hard to figure out left, right. The Tubbering logo on there instead of the duck. Figured if we were going to do this a bit, maybe do it a little better, put a little more into it, a little more professional. Isn't that weird, trying to figure out which way to put your hands?
Yeah.
Opposite?
There we go.
Yeah. I also have some extra things, topics, if I need to, in case you get cut off today. I kind of didn't know what to say yesterday. John Krasinski would be very upset with me. He would be disappointed. He's got a good news thing that he's doing on YouTube right now. It's a little schmaltzy, but it's what the world needs right now. A little schmaltziness.
Some schmaltz.
Yeah. And then I have plan B. If I run out of things to talk about, I'll just get my wife in here and she can talk nonstop for 10 minutes, no problem. The other thing is, too, we are on, she's listening in the other room. We're on a delay, so we can test exactly how long the delay is from when I hear a yell coming from the other room.
It's probably about to happen.
Yes. Where are we at now? Cool. Yeah, I haven't been in the comments yet. How are y'all doing? Hello, everyone. There's lots of hellos.
It seemed like there were a lot of people anticipating this episode.
There it goes. Say it's about a 30, 40 second delay, we were saying.
Yeah. I did get my movie club movies last night. I got both of them in. I did them both last night. We were saying the other day, Kevin and I are in a movie club with about like 10 people, almost a little just shy of 10 people. And we each pick, two people pick a movie every week and we review the two movies picked on Friday nights. This week was my pick. I did Human Nature, which is directed by Michel Gondry and written by Charlie Kaufman. It's the movie they did together before Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which I actually like a lot better than that. But you're not supposed to necessarily pick like your favorite movie.
Yeah, I was just saying, it wasn't. People were having trouble at first because you don't want your quintessential favorite movie.
Yeah,
that's tough.
But obviously, you're going to pick one you enjoy. And then Kevin's wife picked Perfume, which I had never seen and I just saw last night. But I can't go into my feelings towards it because we're talking about it tomorrow night in our group. And Kevin and
Tanya the Murderer. I agree with her on that one. I like that one. But I guess, once again, I shouldn't be discussing it yet. Let's see. I got some fun things to play with, as you'll see soon. Where are we at? 7:01. I'm going to wait till 7:02. So we got another minute to discuss nothing before discussing the album. Maybe I will show off my thing. I'll show you. So this is, I went crazy and got the Pro Edition so I could make cool banners and I could do things like this. Today we'll be discussing, oh shit, wrong thing. Totally screwed that up. Now I can do it. Today we'll be discussing zoo hypothesis.
Ooh.
Like graphics department spent all night on that one.
That is cool.
Thanks. I don't know if I want to have that there the whole time, but other little things too. Well, actually, I'll put it up and we'll start. I think we're around I can't read comments when I do those cool graphics though. Okay, so let us begin. Welcome to day 3 of our Tubbering introspective, going over each album one per day. Today is day 3, and that is Zoo Hypothesis. Rob, would you like to start, or should I go over title?
Sure. Let's hear your explanation of the title of Zoo Hypothesis.
Okay, the Zoo Hypothesis is one of many answers to the Fermi paradox. It's been used in sci-fi a lot. It is basically, if the Fermi paradox is basically saying, so where is the aliens? These are different reasons for why we haven't seen them. Zoo hypothesis is one of them. It's basically they're watching Earth like a giant human zoo. And there we go.
I've got a little paragraph of stuff that some facts about the album. This is the only Fermi and Zoo are the only 2 records that have the exact same band members on them.
Wow.
So this is the exact same lineup on Zoo as it was on Fermi, and that doesn't happen anywhere else in our whole catalog. It was recorded at a recording studio way out in the suburbs of Chicago called Apocalypse Cow by Jeff and Dan Brooks. And they produced it, and a lot of the creative things on the album came from them. They were a massive creative force on the record. And so I got to give them a ton of props. And the way we hooked up with these 2 producers and their studio was they were at a radio station doing some event or something with the radio station. And the radio station was throwing out a bunch of their CDs. And our CD, Drake Equation, was in the CDs they were throwing out. And Dan and Jeff were like, they saw the cover, they thought the cover looked cool, and then they saw that it was produced by Trace Bruins, Mr. Mungo. They're like, why are you throwing this out? And they're like, oh, this is just crappy local bands. We just throw those out. And they're like, can we have it? And so they saved our Drake Equation CD from the landfill and like called us or emailed us and said, hey, we found out about you. We really like you. Why don't you come in and do 1 free song to try our studio out? And if you like working with us, maybe we can do more. And so we went and recorded Alexander in Charge for free with them, which was very generous. And they did all this stuff. We'll talk about it in Alexander in Charge, all this creative stuff to our song. And that kind of like hooked us. And so we kept going back to them for that whole record.
I thought we did 2-3 with them.
Maybe it was 2-3.
2-3.
I messed that up. Anyways, they did a great job with 2-3. Well, that doesn't make the record. But this is also the same producers and same recording studio that we recorded Optics and Sonics at, which is actually B-sides of this record, which we'll talk about later. All the 3-2-1 Activate stuff was also recorded here. My solo record, No Eyes, was recorded here. And Zoo Hypothesis in particular, I know we recorded it over the course of a year. We would go in and do like 3 songs at a time. Remember that? We would do like blocks of 3 songs, and then we would go back out on the road and tour for a couple of months. We'd come home. Maybe we had written stuff on the road or whatever. We'd come home, record another 3-4 songs, go back on the road. And I think this is also the first time we went. We recorded an album. We recorded more songs than what went on the album. Drake, everything we recorded for Drake went on that album. Fermi, everything we recorded for Fermi went on that album. This one, I remember specifically after, sorry, I'm so long-winded here, Kevin. I remember after Fermi and Drake, I remember finishing those and being like immediately disappointed in that there were like certain things about each of those records, even though I had just finished them, that I didn't like. Right away, there were a song or 2 I didn't like on them. And I remember thinking, with this next record, I want to have an album that I can give to somebody and just say, pick any song you want. I don't care which one you listen to. They're all amazing. I wanted to have an album that I was just so confident about. And so part of that was writing a lot more and, a numbers game. If we write 40 songs, well, then there's a good chance, there'll be a good 15 or 16 of them. Whereas if we just write 15 or 16 and that's what we give everybody, the quality control was a little different. And I kind of, I think that's the first time we did that, and then we always did that after this. Yeah. And I think a lot of artists do that, but that was something we had never done before. And anyways, that's where we got Optics and Sonics from. Those were all the songs that we had also recorded for this record, but maybe felt like weren't as strong or for different reasons didn't put it on it. And that is my really long-winded explanation. I also, just to add, I always try and think what I was listening to a lot of at the time and what other music inspired it. And I know I was listening to a lot of Tom Waits at the time and Blood Brothers. Those are the two things that I remember writing down. Those were like my two obsessions then.
Both those influences in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think a big reason we never did B-sides before, that we always recorded everything we put down kind of in the early days, is we always wanted to record as soon as we could. So as soon as we got 11 or 12 songs done, we're like, we're ready, let's go. And then we could have let it stew a little longer. So I guess I could probably turn off this banner here because it's a little, and we can get into the songs.
Cool.
We're going to kind of the themes. I've been talking about the themes of the album. This kind of concluded the SETI trilogy, but I guess I kind of kept that going. But the central theme of Drake Equation was kind of science versus religion. The central theme of Fermi Paradox was now applying this newfound science to everything. And then the central theme of Zoo was kind of like making science your religion and perhaps going too far. And it definitely deals with cults and all sorts of weird, fun things. Shall we move on to song number 1? Now I can use this cool thing. Tiny Little. Like that.
I love it. You are pro. Wow.
If people want to look through the video, maybe just hear a part that they want, I can use as little placeholders there. So, all right.
You really stepped up your game. That's
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, Tiny Little. I remember, I think it probably started with the piano line that to the song, and I remember that was straight after I heard Tom Waits' album Blood Money for the first time. I was just like, this is so cool. I didn't know who Tom Waits was. That was actually the first thing I'd ever heard of him, and was so blown away by him that that Tiny Little, kind of the musical bones came out of that. And kind of some of the productions we did later with the marimbas and the vibraphones and the brass, that all kind of was drawn from Blood Money by Tom Waits, the album. And I was listening today. Why don't you talk about the lyrics? I have a question about the lyrics, but go on with.
Okay. Basically, generally, I think people have figured out how small things have big effects, and just a few different stories. I did, because I was going back into my kind of full nerd SETI trilogy, go back to certain rules where if deities are mentioned, science should be mentioned, or vice versa. So 4 little stories. The last one, splitting the atom, would be the nuclear bomb. What's before that? Tiny Little Shrug. That's the the computer chip, Tiny Little Chip. That's the 2 technology ones. 2 biblical ones are the parting of the Red Sea. And one that a lot of people get wrong, assume that the first one is the Last Supper. It is not the Last Supper. It is actually the miracle, the story of Jesus feeding the 500, where Jesus had just heard that John the Baptist, who was kind of his mentor, his bro, was killed. So he was kind of bummed about this. And he decided he would take a couple disciples with him, and they'd go to this kind of isolated beach somewhere, and he'd just have a little alone time to deal with the death of John the Baptist. And so he started heading there, and word got out that Jesus was going to be on this beach. So all these people started going there. They wanted to see Jesus. It was like a big concert. So by the time he finally landed, there was 500 people waiting for him. And the disciples were like, well, should we get rid of all these people, Jesus? And he's like, no, man, I'm fucking Jesus. Let's preach some and feed them and everything. I'll heal the sick. It's like, what do we got to eat? And you look in their baskets, and there's 5 pieces of bread and 2 pieces of fish. And Jesus is like, that'll do. So he lines them all up and feeds all 500 people with the 5 loaves of bread and 2 pieces of fish. They look in the basket afterwards, and there's some even left over. And he was like, y'all just got Jesus. So that is the story. I'll stop giving my sermon now, but y'all just got Jesus.
think also it's worth noting that none of us are religious in the band.
You didn't like my sermon?
Just in case you tuned in the middle of that. Not that there's anything wrong with being religious, just factually we aren't. Should we? Yeah, I think you answered my question about the lyrics. I don't know. I love. It's a great song to open an album with. It's a little weird that we didn't open the album with the next song, "Death of the Robots," because on the previous two records, our robot song would come first. And is it just because this is just such a good opening song, Tiny Little? I mean, we played it at the beginning of our set all the time because it kind of draws you in.
That was the reason we thought it. I had a hard time with it because I really liked. In fact, you might not know this. I have still argued to try to get the robot song, the first song on every album we've released since, even if you didn't know it was the robot song. I put it first. And I'm like, hey, let's put this first instead. But I think it just was a better album opener, and we all decided on that. So that's why it got pushed to second.
So Death of the Robots second, which maybe was going to be first. Why don't you start this one off?
Sure. So yeah, 3 robots into it. This one is kind of the robot and the human working together, but now I'm introducing another factor with different life, aliens, if you say, and their technology. And the robot, the death of him is not caused by any war, but him becoming obsolete since different technology is now introduced. So the robot kind of sulks in a way and goes off and turns himself off. At this point, death of the robot.
So he commits suicide.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so how does it work as a trilogy with this one here? Like, is it the same robot?
It's the same robot. But I think I use robot as human, where it could be one or many. Mm-hmm. The robot. So yeah, it's the same robot though. He comes back.
This song musically, it kind of follows also the writing style follows the other robot songs.
Shit! I'm so sorry. I just looked at the comments and everyone reminded me. Banner.
Oh yeah. Got your banner.
Sorry about that. Go on.
Hey, check out Banner. So the robot song follows the kind of songwriting arrangement style of the other ones, in that the whole idea behind the music was like quick 5-second parts, and it would change like every 5 seconds or like 4 bars or whatever it works out to be musically. And it just change 4 bars, change 4 bars, change. And you go through about 8-10 changes, and then you do it all again. And it kind of follows all those, at least the first 3 robot songs follow that form. And I thought that was kind of cool. I forgot that we had done that, although I don't know why I forgot that. That's kind of a big part of the songs. But I was like, oh, yeah, that's kind of fun that we did that. And then we added the little ending at the end of it to make it, a true robot song where robot, the robot, so yeah, cool song. Cool, great. Could have been opener. It's got all the energy of the other ones. It's a fun one. Right. On to Promise Keeper.
Boom. Remember Banner this time. Promise Keeper. Why don't you start this one? You probably have a lot to say about it.
Okay, yeah. I think it's one of my all-time favorite Tubbring songs. I remember when I heard the recording for the first time, because we had written it, and you never know what the recording's going to sound like. We'd go on tour after we record it, and the producers, Dan and Jeffrey, would mix it, and they would kind of produce it while we were on tour. So we would get like mixes while we were on the road or right before we went on the road. And I remember hearing it and hearing the way you did the screamy part, like playing and I was like, I just thought it was awesome. I was like, that's how Kevin should be singing like that in every song. Like, it sounds so good. And it was like really like in your face, and the way you did those lines, and it sounded just like nothing else we had recorded before, and the way you were using your voice in that one, I just remember thinking was just so great. And I think since then we've been in the studio, and I'm always like, Kevin, do the Promise Keeper thing when I'm recording Kevin.
I don't really do the Promise Keeper thing so much. I think that was lightning in a bottle for a lot of Promise Keeper things. Yeah, I'll still scream every now and then.
It sounds great. And then I love the violin intro. Our violin player, Matt Phelan, kind of came up with that. And it just, it's like this beautiful, cool, rad thing. I remember we wrote, or I started the musical bones of this and Habitat in our friend Twan's basement. And I was really like upset because Sean was using the internet for like a long time. He was like hogging the internet. And I got really mad and I ran in and started just like playing these like, because I was kind of like in a rage, because that was like when there was one internet connection for 5 guys to share. That was like during that time. And anyways, Twan's still a good buddy of ours. Twan played marimbas on Hands and stuff on Fermi. And let's see, there's also this really cool sample from an Enon song at the end of Promise Keeper. It's from the song Carbonation by Enon, which was a really cool little weird thing that the producers threw in. They knew we were like big Enon fans. Really awesome bass line by Jason. Like just awesome, as most of his bass lines are. And yeah, I don't know. Let's hear about the lyrics.
This is me being psychic again, I think. I almost posted this one day, but I didn't. Very much the charismatic yet crazy leader that you don't really know if you can trust, that targets the demographic of maybe the lesser talked to people of the everyman and makes many, many promises, and can you keep them? Which I would say mirrors a bit current political outlooks. Without getting
I was going to ask you if it was about like political nihilism.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it.
And what is if I were wise, I'd see a trend mean? Does that mean the
things happening over and over, not learning from your mistakes?
Yeah, it's very cool. The whole ending with Kevin's vocal that's cut up. It was a trend. The producers also did that, and they had cut up the words, if I were wise to see a trend, from other songs that we'd recorded there.
As you asked, I realized that's from Invalid that they cut up. So it doesn't have anything to do with that song. I mean, if I were wise, I'd see a trend.
Which one?
Invalid. And they cut the words.
Yeah. But I don't think they didn't record Invalid. They didn't have access to that.
Right,
they took your actual
of
your words from.
Didn't necessarily.
Yeah.
Wasn't from that.
Gotcha. Oh, you're saying the lyric.
Yes.
Yes. Right.
Right.
But it works really well with the song, right?
Yeah, totally. All right, nice. Rob, you're looking. Your quality's getting a little low. Hopefully.
Really?
Yeah, you sound good though. All right, let's move on. Do you have anything else to say, or shall we move on?
Let's move on.
Moving on to Sharpening the Sticks. Would you like to start on that one, or shall I?
You should start.
All right, we'll rotate. So Tanner Woodford, a good friend of ours who helped me out with a lot of photography and art for a few albums, he just gave me the, hey, I came up with an interesting song title, Sharpening the Sticks. And many times in life, for a songwriter, will tell you they don't want to hear, hey, you want to hear my song title? But I appreciated that, and I said, that is a good title, and wrote about a weird passive-aggressive story using the title from Tanner, Sharpening the Sticks.
This is another, like, one of my all-time favorites, I think. I love how the song just dives in on the first note to the first line of the song. There's not an intro. It's just no nonsense. And I know there's like in a couple songs on this album, there's this sample that Mike Hickey from Daiquiri gave me, and that's on this song. The first time I heard one of his samples was in this song today. I can't remember which one it is though, as I'm saying this story. But Mike Hickey, one of your samples is in there. Maybe he can tell us if he's on.
He's on.
And then there's a lot of like some of my favorite guitar stuff on this song. I don't know if it was Sean that played on the recording or me or both of us. But there's like cool tap solo in there, and it's just kind of got the high energy kind of thing that I think Tubbring did really well. And yeah, that's about all I got.
Cool. We will move on. Oh, you definitely start this one. I could never fall in love with you.
I could never fall in love with you. Yeah, so I wrote. Yeah, I think I wrote all the lyrics to this and wrote this kind of on my own, and then gave it to the band to kind of fill in the pieces. My idea musically was to make this noir-themed love song. And I'm still a professional songwriter to this day, and there's a thing with songwriters, it's like kind of an inside joke, like how do you write a new love song? It's kind of hard to keep coming up with clever love songs. And so this one was to make kind of an anti-love song. And I think I did a pretty good job. It's pretty like kind of a clever lyric. And I remember after I wrote this, I thought like, man, I think I might have just written my first hit song. It just felt good. It had the right amount of like cleverness, but yet it was really poppy at the same time. And at first I didn't even know if it should even be for Tubbring because it was pretty different from our stuff. But when I showed it to Kevin and everybody else, they were like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, oh, great, cool. Because I didn't really have anything else to do it with. I don't know. It's not like I could have given it to somebody else at the time. And it worked out great. The beginning part is from this organ that we bought in Roswell, New Mexico, that we found on tour. And it's like a massive stand-up organ. And we tracked it, chugged it all the way back to mine and Kevin's apartment. And it's got the little like drum beats on the organ. And that's what the beginning is. There's a cool like horn part at the end that kind of sounds like Nancy Sinatra, Boots Were Made for Walking, kind of like ending, which is like very intentional. And
you almost
Sarah, a friend of ours.
You almost didn't put that part in there. Because I remember when you first wrote that song, you were playing that but you didn't throw that in at the end. Then you did. Which I thought added a cool.
I don't remember, but I'm glad we did. And Sarah, our friend, sang. This is the first time we had any like buddy besides Kevin really singing a lead on a Tubbring song, and she sounds great on it. She's got this like kind of nice, deep, full tenor voice, and it sounds great. Kevin, what do you have to add?
Not much, really. Now, whenever I hear the song, though, I hear when we did our Do Circuit thing on MTV, and we did the karaoke where people were singing along to this, and I just hear this guy's voice at the end. I could never fall in love with you, and that's how I always hear it. I like that.
That's awesome.
All right, let me get a banner here. Oh crap! What's that here? There we go. Bye, Rob. Wait, are you testing me already to see how I'm going to do on my solo thing? Hey, give me a warning at least. All right, I'll start leaning over here. I was going to wait for maybe some of the... Oh, you're back. I was just about to get my thing going. You know, I never held the CD up to the thing, so we don't know if we're going to have a cool... We'll see if the algorithm finds that. Okay, one with My Surroundings. I'll start this one. Yeah, kind of, you know, I'm glad you did Psychology is BS earlier, Rob. You gave me a good way to say it. It was a little snarky and assy. I don't know if I necessarily 100% believe all of it, but I had just seen a movie, and it was definitely deifying like Eastern religion and meditation and everything over the tired worker that's going through life. And it's really heavy-handed, and it just got to the point that even as a worker through technology, you feel just as connected to the universe. And then I just made the lyrics a little more assy on that. But there is a line in there that it is a line that I'm proud of, that I liked. And it's a joke, and it's time you all face it. The now we're meditating is an hour you just wasted. just liked the way it rolled off the tongue too. It had a nice flow to it.
You had that lyric way before the song. I remember you saying that lyric like to me, and you were maybe going to use it in 8-bit or something. Yeah, you were like, wouldn't it be cool to have a lyric about wasting your time meditating?
Really? Interesting.
Yes, I definitely remember you telling me about that line.
Well, I got to use it well then.
You had that one in the bank. You pulled it out in the right number. I love this song. Is Grown Ups like a metaphor for previous generations? Is that?
Oh, Jesus. I'm looking at my spelling error there. Calm down, everyone. Surroundings. Let's just take this right off here. I had to do this all like in an hour before this. What were you asking?
Is Grown Ups a metaphor for previous generations?
Yeah.
Got it. Who came up with the idea to have that overlapping lead vocal? The we're not the grunt. Was that you or the producers?
Don't remember. Might have been them. I know they came up with the first part. The we're not the grown-ups. Yeah, it's got to be them. Or maybe we were.
You know what I'm talking about? The vocals like overlap. The lead vocal overlaps itself.
That might have been me because that's a trick I like to do, but I don't remember. I don't want to take credit away or give credit. I'll just take the credit. Yeah, it was me. I did a good job on that. Thanks.
Great job. Great drumming on there by Dave Tavares as well. Sounds awesome.
All right, we're moving on. Did I spell this one correct? I did.
Is my Habitat.
I
guess I can start this one.
Yeah.
This one definitely starts. That first thing is a Mike Hickey from Daiquiri sample. That he gave me that sample. He used it in Daiquiri songs, and I was like, "What is that like blast of annoying noise that you're doing? Like, can you give me that sound?" And I thought it would be cool in that song. And then at the very end of the song, you can hear the whole sample. It's like. I don't know, that was my impersonation of it, but he knows exactly what I'm talking about. It was really cool, and he gave me that sample, and I used it all over the song. It's a cool blend of punk rock and classical music. How many bands have done that? I think it's kind of works into like an awesome. I guess it's like punk metal and classical at the same time. The producers did this amazing like scream warp thing when you go all is right.
Yeah, I loved that.
And to this day, I mean, I'm a music producer. I have no idea how they made that sound.
It's just elastic.
It's just insane. I couldn't do that if I spent all day like trying to figure out what the hell they did. And I guess it's worth mentioning, I forgot to mention earlier, this was the first album that we had recorded 100% digitally. There was no tape on this one. And maybe I'll talk about that just for a second since I came up. It's not about Habitat, but it was, we hadn't really ever used like Pro Tools or any digital recording before. And I remember thinking like, this is going to be some good technology. Like you can do some cool stuff with this. Like, you know, I knew it was coming out and it existed, but to be able to manipulate things, manipulate audio and even manipulate arrangements, the producers from Apocalypse Kyle that produced this record, you know, they would give us some of our mixes back and there would be an extra chorus or there would be an outro or a new part in the middle of the song that they had added and thrown in there. And that just was like mind-blowing to me. That wasn't even possible to do on the ways we had recorded our previous albums. So it was just like, obviously we take it for granted. We do that kind of stuff all the time now with recording music. But so yeah, and then the other thing that I like to note about this song, it's got like multiple time signatures. There's 3/4, there's 6/4, there's 4/4. There's like halftime and full time on each of them, and that was kind of brave and fun and cool, and probably very difficult for Dave, our drummer, and Jason, our bassist, the rhythm section, but they did a great job on it.
Yeah, this one lyrically, I think it's a little straightforward. It fit the theme of the album. Kind of culty and looking over their compound. I used little keywords like that to get that point across, and it's kind of all there is to it there.
Our buddy Justin McConnell made us a really cool video for this song.
Yeah.
It was really great. He did it for cheap / maybe it was free or something.
It was free. We didn't even know about it. He did it as a surprise for us to put on the DVD because he was doing our DVD.
That was very generous and awesome of him, and he's still a buddy of ours. I stay in touch with him on Facebook. Night Watch.
Night Watch, I mean. The Night Watch. Okay, we did all those, that talking about the Brooks Brothers that did the album. They actually wrote this song. They had the music for it, and I forget how they brought it up. Like, you want to put it on the album, do something with it? Sure. And they were calling it The Night Watch. They were looking at Rembrandt's painting, The Night Watch, as they were writing it, made him think of that. So if you have another tab open and you want to Google Rembrandt, The Night Watch, I then too looked at The Night Watch and tried to write lyrics kind of inspired by that. The Night Watch was like the real story, kind of a deputized militia that would go out and police the streets. Even though the painting has become known as the Night Watch, it's actually day. When they watched it, it became a little more obvious that it's in the day. So if you look by their legs, you can see shadows. Hence, we're putting in the lyrics like the time has come to step to the sun, all dressed up and no place to go because they're ready. So that is a song inspired by Rembrandt. Rob, you got anything?
So you wrote the lyrics to this, and the producers wrote the music. Is that
Yeah, but they wrote the music first.
It's awesome. So, okay, and then you wrote on top of the music the lyrics, melodies. So yeah, it was like, you know, all of a sudden there's another song. Kevin's like, here, I did a song for this record with the producers, and I was listening to it. I was like, this is amazing. Yes, like that was easy. Like I didn't even know they were writing it, and just all of a sudden we got this demo for this song, and I was like, well, that's going on the album. That sounds amazing. So this was all Kevin and our producers, Dan and Jeff from Apocalypse Cow.
That was cool. All right. Well, Dog Doesn't Bite. Oh, I kept that on the whole time, didn't I? Dog Doesn't Bite.
I remember wanting to... Go ahead.
Sorry. You go.
I remember wanting to have a song that started off with like cheesy 80s keyboards and it would remind you of the Terminator. And that's kind of the intro to that song. It's like this Terminator future apocalyptic crappy 80s synth like line. And then these like Flash Gordon Queen style guitar harmony things come in. And then boom, it goes into a fast paced, crazy tumbling song. And this song's another one of my like personal favorites. I really like it. It was a cool Ennio Morricone style whistle part at the end, which is always fun. And I also noticed the arrangement of the song. The chorus only happens at the end of the song, which was kind of a fun little arrangement thing. And I guess there's a lot of cool, weird, hidden stuff in this song. Quite a bit of hidden stuff, which Kevin probably can speak to better than me.
I can't. I got that question the other day. Like, what was the Morse code in Dog Doesn't Bite? I don't remember. And maybe some people on the side can comment with some of it. I think there was Morse code and there was binary. There's Morse code, binary.
Yes, both.
Yeah. I remember when you brought the song in, you didn't have lyrics, but you had kind of a vocal idea for the end. You wanted it to follow the dun, 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 dun. You're like, I was just singing Dog Doesn't Bite, Dog Doesn't Bite. And I'm like, all right, I'll write something. It's not going to be Dog Doesn't Bite. But then I don't know if laziness or if it fit, but it was Dog Doesn't Bite.
And so what did the lyrics mean in a deeper sense?
Kind of, once again, science-y story. Scientists working on something that eventually ends up biting them. I keep it somewhat vague on purpose. I mentioned like self-replication. So it could seem cloning, but I keep it organic and mechanic too, because say a box and self-replication. So basically just people working on something that blows up and ends up bad. Oh yes, the Morse code is we are not.
They're saying in the chat that the Morse code
That is correct. That is correct.
That is right. Yes, we are not compatible. Yeah.
All right.
Kind of cool having like hidden audio Easter eggs inside the songs. I don't remember whose idea that was. I think
it also helped because in the booklet I had Morse code to help kind of figure it out, and it answered to other things. All right.
Yeah, pretty cool. And I think I didn't listen, I should have listened today, but I think, yeah, like Morse code is on the left and binary is on the right. And I actually thought they said different things, but they both say we are not compatible. That's interesting. Fun one. Right. So next one on the list.
Alexander in Charge. Do I start this one? I think you should start this anyway.
Starting this one.
Better story. Musically, I think.
Okay. Well, this is another one of my all-time favorite Tub Ring songs. I know the first part that I had an idea for was the very beginning, and I think it's not really a big secret. Most of our fans knew, but the hits in the beginning of the song that the rhythm section and the guitar is doing, if you count the hits, it works out to the number pi. So it's like 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 9, 2, 6. And if you remember the song or know the song, it goes da 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 da, you know, da 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 da, you know. So it counts out all the numbers in pi, and that was, I think, my musical way of paying homage to Kevin and his, like, you know, themes that he was doing lyrically. And I've got more to say, but let's switch it over to you from there.
All right. I remember when he came to me, and this comes into play later on in our series, but hearing it like, and originally I started writing lyrics, trying to figure out a good pattern to the beats. So I was trying to come up with a 3-syllable word or 3 words, like da 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 da. It just wasn't coming up with anything good that I was happy with. So I was like, well, and I tried doing it on the opposite. So there was an average Monday, there was a movie star, and that made way more sense. And I was happy with how that worked out. And that will come into play later of why I might have written other lyrics like that. What it's about, Alexander Haig. It's reading about him. Say after the assassination attempt on President Reagan, he was actually 5th in line, but he was saying, all right, everyone calm down. I'm in control here. But you got a big backlash, which is once again a little prophetic of someone saying they're in complete and total control. And that's what the lyrics are.
There's a deeper story behind that. So as Kevin mentioned, it was about this assassination on Ronald Reagan and the aftermath, this kind of crazy Secretary of State, Alexander Haig, and what he had said, only 3 away from right, because he actually was 5th in line. Like if the president died and the vice president, like he was 5th, but it was funny that he like grabbed the mic and said, I'm in charge. That's cool. But then there's a further story to the song. The guy that tried to assassinate Reagan was this guy, Hinckley, who was obsessed with the movie Taxi Driver. And he basically was trying to assassinate Reagan in order to insanely impress Jodie Foster. Therefore, we've got all these samples from the movie Taxi Driver in the song, which I think that, again, was the producers, Jeff and Dan's idea to put these samples from Taxi Driver in the song. And that's why you've got this kind of like long-winded thing. It's in Taxi Driver is also one of my favorite movies where it's the dream sequence at the end where Travis Bickle's being congratulated. Actually, you don't know if it's a dream sequence or not. That's kind of cool. But and then there's a few other Easter eggs in this song. There's that like part towards the end where Dave, the drummer, is doing this double bass drum and these things on the toms. And I remember it always sounded like Hot for Teacher to me, because it's like just the same way the drums are from Hot for Teacher. And if you hear Kevin's vocal in that part, he does the same like melodic tweak that David Lee Roth does. He goes, I'm only 3 away from right. And that's like in Hot for Teacher, the melodic thing that David Lee Roth does. And he does that while Dave's doing this Hot for Teacher drums, which was really cool. And I had forgotten all about that. And this is another one where my eyes were kind of open to possibilities digital production could bring, because that whole section where the taxi driver samples happening, we didn't write any of that. The producers took, parts and amalgamated them and spliced them together and added this bridge that we didn't even write to the song. And I remember getting the song back and it's like, hey, there's a new part to our song. My mind was blown. I was like, this digital recording stuff is going to be big one day. This is great.
You brought up those taxi driver samples that were in there. And I remember thinking, because it was going to be in stores, like we didn't clear the samples or anything. Like, should we do it? And like, who's going to hear our album? Hey, we're a small band. We're not going to get in trouble. If we do, we'll just take them out. But a big fan of Dog Fashion Disco, and then through us is this guy, Sam Forrest. I don't know if you remember him. And he was talking to us after a show and saying he was a fan and nice things. And it turned out his dad's Paul Schrader, the writer of Taxi Driver. So what are the odds there that they might have gotten hurt?
We could just tell the lawyers, we got his blessing.
All right. Moving along, Raindrops. This song is the oldest song on the album easily. It was written for Drake Equation. We actually wrote this before Numbers, and we didn't put it on Drake Equation because we thought the two would sound too similar to have both Raindrops and Numbers on the same album. You seem surprised at this. You don't remember that?
I don't remember that, but now I'm recalling it. Yeah, we had the demo on our 8-track.
Yeah, it's an old one. Then we brought it back for Zoo Hypothesis.
I guess that makes sense because it sounds kind of very Beach Boys inspired, which was kind of also inspired by Mr. Bungle's album California, and we were probably and I also, it might have been we didn't want to put it on an album with Numbers, but I also remember the band not loving this song. I always thought it was a really cool song.
Yeah, I don't think we didn't not love it. It was just compared to, it was one or the other, that or Numbers, and we liked Numbers more. But I think it came out pretty well on this when it was recorded.
Did we ever play this live?
Yeah. I think. I can't.
Not often.
Not often. Definitely not often. We must have. There aren't too many songs that we didn't play live.
If we played it live, it was maybe like a handful of times, not many times.
Yeah. It's a story. Soldier dying from stepping on a landmine. I throw little hints in there by saying things like the Ottawa Treaty. The Ottawa Treaty is the treaty that bans landmines. Me. Moving on.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to get this banner here. Oh, yeah. The Viking Song. You want to start, Rob? Me start? This song, I remember what I used to say. I don't know if I remember it verbatim before we played it live. And I would say, this song is about the feeling of power and manliness you get after impregnating a woman. I don't know where that came from. But that's what this song's about. Impregnating someone.
It's kind of like this album's Downloading Satan.
I can see that. Is that your comment?
It's kind
on
of got
it?
the same. Yeah, that's honestly all I wrote about it. It was fun, but it's just like this blast of energy with parts that change, and it's really aggressive and fun, and it sounds like us. And I don't have that much more to add about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't dislike the song, but I don't have anything else to say too. It's about impregnating someone, which I don't think I've done. I hope. 30 seconds till I get another yell. All right. We Are the Righteous. You want to start on that one?
Sort of this album's Future Was Free in some ways. It's got like some similarities. The Future Was Free. I remember being like really inspired by the Blood Brothers on this one. And it's a fun song. I love the energy. I was going to ask, is the lyrics about robots or like an evolved man, or what is that?
No, it was... Just got another yell. It was about and I did this a couple on this album, but one ended up on Optics and Sonics. It was about kind of trash talking monks or holy people. I just like to see people being like, whoa, totally more pious than you and totally more holy. There was the song ended up on Optics and Sonics that All the Rules Have Changed. And that was kind of more about trash talking scientists. And there's the line, we're not even trying anymore, which I knew was a great loaded phrase for critics. And somebody did bite. There was a review of Optics and Sonics that said, yeah, guys, you're not even trying anymore. You say it right in your song. But then they continue to say that it wasn't as good as Zoo Hypothesis and A Step Down. Guess not realizing it was a B-side album. It was written during Zoo Hypothesis. I digress. There's my story.
I'm going to just go out and come back in. Let me back in a second. I'm just see if I can do a better connection.
Okay.
In the meantime, you can start the next song.
All right. I'll start the next song. I won't do my things. What is it? Let's get the banner here. So Rob is gone. It's all me. Hi, everyone. It's me. The next song, oddly enough, is called Return to Me. It's about me. What do I have written in my notes here about Return to Me? Not much. This is a bad song to come on to. It's fits the album, kind of cult leaderish, kind of try to keep things that they could be interpreted as multiple things, where I was keeping this science and cult theme going for the album. You could look at the person in this as kind of like a cult leader trying to bring someone back, but also maybe make it as a relationship or an abusive relationship or something that you just want to get out of. Try to keep things vague at some point, so hopefully you can make your own interpretations of them. Looks like we have Rob coming back. Look, there's two Robs. Now there's just Rob.
Any better? Same?
Much better, actually.
Really? Great.
Yeah. Do you got anything to say about Return to Me?
Was this another breakup song?
No, this was more, I just explained it to everyone. More culty, but also relationshipy. If it wouldn't be a breakup, it would be more from the person of being in a domineering or abusive relationship trying to get away, but it's hard and it pulls them back.
And I love the line, my hands are filled with a potential energy. What does that mean?
That you can do many things. Potential energy is energy stored but not used yet.
I know what potential energy is, but what's the metaphor?
I don't know. Just many things that can happen. I guess it's not anything in particular. I just liked the line too.
Did we ever play this one live?
Return to Me? Yeah. Yeah, we did, because I remember that part that I put over at the wolves pulled over my eyes or something. The time has come to improvise. I think I wrote really high, and after doing the whole song, I had a really hard time doing that live.
But we only played it maybe once or twice then. Not many times. And this is the one somebody had criticized your pronunciation of the word familiar.
Oh, that was me, or maybe someone else said it too. Oh, I don't.
The other day,
I never say familiar. I mean, familiar. It's not. And I wonder, even with the I want to blame other people. Did I not do any takes where I didn't say familiar? Probably didn't. Yeah, they were right on that one. That sucks. Familiar.
Weird.
Yeah.
Looking for a new banner?
Looking for a new banner. That banner is a wealth of information.
The intro to that was created by our producers. That was another one where we had recorded the song, went on tour, and they got back and they sent us a mix. And there was this whole minute-long thing in the beginning of our song, and I was like, this is cool. And they sampled our other song Numbers in it, and it was just really creative of them. Again, I can't overstate the amount of creativity they put in this record, and we're a really big part of it. This is one of my all-time favorite Tubbering songs. It was always really fun to play live. It was just snappy, and the changes weren't so quick like a robot song, but they just every part of it just felt right, and it was just a quick 2-minute ball of fun energy. And yeah, what do you got to say about it?
Kind of the same. Just always like playing this one live. It was our fun energy song to get out.
I love your lyrics in it. I don't know what they're about necessarily, but information being power?
No, just a wealth of information that someone's giving to them, kind of in this world, in my SETI trilogy worlds, that guy in the street corner with the sign might have something to say. He might give you a wealth of information. In the real world, the crazy guy yelling in the street corner really doesn't have much to say.
There's a lot of those in Los Angeles where we live.
Quite a few of those in Los Angeles. Shall we move on?
I just signed up for that app Citizen and Nextdoor, and it's probably not a good thing to have those apps in our neighborhood, because you're like, that's right outside my door. Somebody just got stabbed.
Oh, really?
I mean, I'm exaggerating, but there's just always shit going down. And then there's a lot of like crazy guy with a bat yelling at cars at Hollywood and Wilton, and like, oh no, we could probably see that guy.
I think I've seen that crazy guy with the bat at Hollywood and Wilton. All right, moving along, the final song of the album, Vehicle. Rob, do you want to start this one? I think I have a lot to say about this.
Sure. I mean, super cool bass line, super cool drums in this song. I love what Jason and Dave did. It's just this fun. Again, we kind of fell into that pattern of ending the song albums on kind of more of a calmer note than the rest of it, and this one works perfect. I'm listening to it today, and I was wondering if some of the production was inspired by Enya or something, because it sounds kind of like Enya. And the one thing I really wanted to ask you about, and I don't know if this was intentional or if this is in my imagination, but today the song, I was listening to your melodies, and I was like, this reminds me of something. And I was like, you know what it is? Willy Wonka, Pure Imagination by Gene Wilder. Your melodies are like kind of take you to the same place. And then I was thinking, like, does the lyrics of that song, Pure Imagination from Willy Wonka, your melody is like it, but then maybe the lyrics in a similar way kind of cross over, at least in my head they did while I was listening to it today. I don't know if there's any truth to any of that analysis, but why don't you take it?
Wasn't on purpose at all. I'm definitely familiar with the song Pure Imagination, so maybe it was a bit of synesthesia. But no, yeah, I always like the song a lot too. Kind of a nice album closer. I referenced the Heaven's Gate Church, if you want to call them that, and Marshall Applewhite. It's not actually about them. I mean, it is, but it's more of the group. I was kind of bringing everything full circle in my trilogy here, and science has taken such a major role and becomes this character's kind of religion that they take it too far, kind of believe to get into this other world where the comet was coming. He's kind of believing the Heaven's Gate cult and asking for Marshall Applewhite for help, since he's already become a being of pure energy, and that will help him and perhaps another person. It's a bit of a love song too, as they travel into the Netherland, the Netherlands, into the Nether.
Or maybe they're traveling into Pure Imagination. It
could be, yeah.
I see people commenting that they want this played at their funeral vehicle. That's a fun take on it. Yeah, that fits very well with Kevin's lyrics.
Cool. All right, you can play Tubering songs at your funeral. You have my permission. Rob, you have your permission too.
Yeah. I'll do the next song. I'll start the next song. No bonus song. Yes.
No bonus song. I didn't make a banner for that one. Do it fast.
So I've got a little bit more, I think, to say about the record overall. Another really cool thing to mention is how all the songs run together into like one continuous long song. There's like the transitions are kind of seamless. The producers did a lot of that, and maybe with, obviously our input of like the order that we wanted it, but that kind of makes for a really fun record. And I think that, I don't know if we did that at our live shows too, where we would just go song, 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 and every song would bleed into each other. And I was trying to remember, did this album inspire the live show to do that, or was it the other way around?
The other way around.
Okay. So maybe we were saying we want to kind of, again, try to make the album as fun as our live shows. And so that's something we incorporated on this album, this kind of flow, song kind of thing.
I haven't actually shown the album yet. So yeah, Zoo Hypothesis. Joan Veritek helped me with all of the cool Comet and Death thing, and Tanner, we already mentioned, helped with a lot of the pictures there and the artwork. Now, the booklet inside, I did, and this is how I did it. I saved all of these to show, a little show and tell. I actually got a piece of a notebook, just cut it out, and then through each like pages on that, I just kind of made it made the cover and then shrunk it down and turned it into this. I almost sold these during our Kickstarter, but then I figured, screw you guys, I want to keep them. But they were all made like this. There's Viking Song, impregnating someone.
Should we open it up to questions?
Let's keep what we're doing. Let's answer some questions.
Let's keep them about Zoo Hypothesis. Those are the ones we answer specifically.
Somebody must have a tattoo of the image on their back. People do have that tattoo. I've seen that a few times.
With tracks like All the Rules Have Changed and The Emperor's Son not being on the album for, these are going too quick, for various reasons, is there a version of Zoo Hypothesis track listing that you guys would consider to be a canonical? I can't read that word.
Yeah.
The Zoo we never...
No, really. I think Zoo worked out the way we wanted. I can say that for other albums, but not necessarily Zoo.
Bradley wants to know, said there were 7 songs on the album that are under 2 minutes. Was this deliberate or premeditated? There would have probably been 10 or 11 that were under 2 minutes, except the producers would add these like 1 minute intros to like Wealth of Information or like this extended bridge in Alexander. With us, it was like, let's not bore them. Let's just boom, boom, boom. I kind of think that was a thing through a lot of our career and a lot of our songwriting was like
make your point and get out. Why do in 4 minutes what you can do in 2 minutes?
And I remember
Tool, who is why do in 5 minutes what you can do in 13 minutes.
And I remember too, one of our constant criticisms as a band was, you guys didn't play long enough of a set tonight. We would usually just play 45 minutes to 50-minute sets. We would never do like hour and a half. But I would always say, well, we played like 30 songs in those 45 minutes. We literally, because we would go back to back, we wouldn't stop. Like it's like the same amount of music any other band would play, except we don't like screw around. We get to it.
It's a sprint, not a marathon.
Yeah. Did Kevin ever get frustrated with us in the front row mimicking his dance moves? That's not really Zoo, but maybe.
It's Zoo. Yeah, there is, dance moves from Zoo. No, never. That would be wonderful.
Who put together the web puzzle on this album? That's all Kevin.
It's all me. In fact, crap. That's one of the things I was going to do. I was going to get some of those pictures because I think I had them buried on my computer, but I don't know where they're at.
So the album artwork had like a puzzle people could interact with.
In the website. Yeah. What else? We get some good Viking songs. I swear Kevin called it the rape song, the Viking song. I don't know. Was I drinking when I said that? That's not very nice. I wouldn't have called the Viking song the rape song. I'm not that person. And if I was,
Donald wants to know what happened between this one and Great Filter, where it was just me and you. I think maybe we'll talk about that next Monday night.
Yeah, that's
it has more to do with the next album than this one, but we'll definitely address that. Are there any songs from this record that surprised you with their popularity and how much they resonated with audiences?
I kind of felt the same way about the songs that got big on this one. Promise Keeper, I remember going into it, we knew it was a decent song, but I think we're more excited about like Habitat and that was kind of like, well, we'll see. Or maybe even we didn't know if it was going to be good. We were kind of half-ass on it, but when we finished it, I think it became one of our favorite songs on the album. So then,
it's funny how that happens. You write songs and like in your mind, like, oh, this is going to be the one that everybody loves. And then you get it back and like, not only does everybody not love it, you kind of like, oh, this didn't really, it turned out, it sounded better in my mind. It just kind of falls flat in the recording. And then there's the opposite. I think Promise Keeper, like Kevin said, was a good example of that. I think we all liked the song. We thought, like, oh, this is going to be a good song. But then we got the production back and just the way it came together, it was like, oh, great. This is going to be one of our best songs. And, even I think like Tiny Little, I remember writing songs like that and just like, are people going to get this? Or are they going to laugh at us? Like a lot of our fans are like, into punk or like heavier stuff. Like, are they going to like us doing this thing with marimbas? Like, I hope so, but you never know. I guess it sounds silly to have a doubt like that on something that would have become one of our most popular songs. But at the time, you're like, I don't know. We did so much experimenting that it was always kind of like, who knows if this will work or not.
Rob, Amy's saying you said there was a mistake on the album, but wouldn't say what it was because it would ruin the album. Do you know what that was?
A mistake?
Mistake?
You'll have to give me more. There's probably mistakes on all of our records, but I wonder, maybe I must have
been familiar.
Yeah, maybe. I don't really recall what I was thinking about on that. Somebody says it's time for Kevin's ranking.
It is time for my ranking.
Kevin ranks his Top Ring albums in the order of his personal favorite, 1 through number 1 being his favorite and 6 being his least favorite. He had previously, I believe, ranked Drake Equation 4 and Fermi Paradox 5. Where does Zoo fall in?
So I'm gonna throw in another little aside. My 5 and 6, I kind of went back and forth on. My 1 and 2, I kind of went back and forth on too. But I finally landed at Zoo Hypothesis. It's our best album.
Number 1. Wow. Interesting.
I bounced around 2, going back and forth, but I ended up with this one 1.
I think we did great on this one. And again, it was like going into this one, it was like, we got to stop screwing around. And like, I can't have an album come out and go, man, I don't really like these 2 songs on this album. I mean, I want to put this album out and to be really proud of everything on it. And we accomplished that. So to that end, it's definitely, I think, one of our best albums. And it's my 1, 2, and 3 are all pretty close to each other. But I actually put this one third.
Really?
Yes, but third, it sounds like so far from the top, but it really, like 1, 2, and 3 are kind of all together for me.
That's everyone. They're like, I even hate to rank. Obviously, if you put one at 6, you're gonna have to defend why it's your least favorite. And it's like, well, there's still things I like on it, but we're just ranking. So yeah, I'm gonna go with 1.
My one criticism of this, and maybe what part of what takes it away from maybe the 1 or 2 spot, is like sonically, like I think the Brooks Brothers were great producers, but like for whatever reason, I don't know if it was the gear or maybe they were better producers than they were mixers. Sonically, I think it's maybe our weakest album. Like, I don't love the way some of the instruments sound, or maybe, it's a mix issue in some spots, but that kind of takes away and makes it, it would be higher, I think. The songs themselves could have been the number 1.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have any more questions? We've got a good little. Where does Super Sci-Fi rank? Super Sci-Fi doesn't rank.
Did you cut many songs from it? Yes. I mean, we cut like a whole album's worth of songs from it. And that's what Optics and Sonics became.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything unheard, though. Might have been something.
Can we make a track with all the robot songs flowing into each other like we did it live? Yeah, we did that. We put it on our best of vinyl. So, yeah, it exists. I don't know if it exists digitally. I don't think it does.
Didn't we sent out a digital copy of the vinyl?
So people got it.
Yeah.
Somehow.
We'll get it to you. I'm sure someone will get it to you.
The packaging for the CD was a digipack with all of the releases being in standard jewel case. Any special reason for the unique package? Band choice?
I was surprised that they gave us the budget to do an album like that. Not recording, but art budget. Not even art budget, but reproducing. Because to have a full color booklet with this many pages and then clear on the digipack with both sides, I really thought they'd be like, yeah, it's going to cost way too much. You can have a regular jewel case, and that's that. But they let us go crazy. Everything worked out. I don't know if that answered the question. It was just, I don't know, something different. Felt like it fit together better. I looked through all the different CD packages and how I wanted to design it, and that's how I wanted to design it.
Kevin, you told somebody this was the hardest album to make before Secret Handshakes. Is that still true, or what was your, if true, what was your reasoning behind that?
I don't think that's true. I don't recall this being that hard of an album to make. Maybe I was saying it like in the way of saying we were putting a lot of effort into it, and I was just going, oh, it's a hard album to make. But I don't have any hard album to make memories from it.
Vince wants to know about the online puzzle component. Both Zoo and Fermi had it. What prompted this decision? We talked about that a little last night, but I mean, if you want to kind of hit it again a little bit, Kevin.
Yeah, I was a big kick out of the web things that were happening. These mysteries where people were getting together and they actually used real things like phone calls, and people would meet up places, and there's no point to solving the mysteries. They were like the original, I said ARG, that's alternate reality game. There's a name for them. But they were big at the time, and I always thought that was really cool. So I put them on our albums too. I always liked, I guess that goes into the concept album thing. I liked bands and albums that seemed bigger than they were. As a kid, I would get an album and look over the pictures and the lyrics forever, and if it made it seem like it was a soundtrack to a bigger world or there's more to it, just seemed cool. I liked that nerdy kind of thing. So I still like that nerdy kind of thing. So I like to throw things like that in.
Bradley asks about Zoo sounding different than the previous two. Was there a discussion? Did we decide as a band we need more screaming or we need more speed or whatever? I think a big part of the sound, again, I keep bringing them up with the producers, Dan and Jeff. They added a lot of creativity to it. The other ones we were kind of like co-producing with the engineers and or Trey. This one, like honestly, like I said, they would give us back our mixes with entirely new sections of the song, and it was a really good creative collaboration with them. And I think they drove a lot of that. I think one thing I noticed listening to the album today, I mean, we do different genres on it, just like we had in the previous ones. But I think on this album, we were more trying to do like sound hopping rather than genre hopping. We would hop sounds a lot in this, not necessarily genres. Like the punk songs are like punk songs on this, you know. Raindrops is like Raindrops. Obviously, a little genre splice would happen here or there, but a lot of times we were trying to go for different sounds rather than different genres, which I think kind of started with Zoo and kind of continued from Zoo. It wasn't so much about like how many different genres can we fit in the song. It was more like how many different sound palettes can we fit in the song, I think was more our new focus. At least in my mind, to some degree, there was a conscious decision to do that.
I think too, he's asking, was it a conscious effort to become heavier? Because that is a heavier album than any of our other ones. I think that just happened from constantly touring and playing. This will come into play later, but a lot of these songs too, we had been playing out already for a year. So we were just writing on the road and then touring and then recording and then going back on tour and back into the studio. So they kind of naturally get a more aggressive sound to them. There was a, will she identify with me on Raindrops was interrupted with indecipherable yelling. what were you saying? I was saying identify with. So it's basically just saying the same thing. Will she identify with me? There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to find any more questions before we log off.
Kevin, you once mentioned a paper written by someone that touched on all the topics of the first few albums. I remember finding it online and printing it out to read way back when. Can you refresh our memory on what was the name of that paper and who it was by? No, I don't remember that paper at all. But if you're interested in any of the themes that we've learned over the past few days, you can easily go to YouTube. There's fun little things about the Drake equation and Fermi paradox and zoo hypothesis. They have little infographic ones that I like. And it makes me feel like I was totally ahead of the game on that one.
You cover so many topics on Zoo. How deeply did you immerse yourself in these subjects when you were writing? I'm guessing he means the lyrics.
Yeah, a lot, actually. I remember I was getting really nerdy. I was like looking into different cults and trying to join some and reading different things, putting myself in that world. It was a little easier, too, because we were on tour. So you play a show and then you sit in a van for 7-8 hours. You can visit those fantasy worlds when writing lyrics. So yeah, thank you.
Somebody says they don't agree with my take that the mix sounds bad. I don't think the mix sounds bad. I just think, and I don't want to like shit talk my own thing, and I really like it. It's got some sonic qualities throughout that I just, they don't sit great with me. Some of the acoustic instruments sound digital at times, and some of the it's always kind of good when the digital instruments sound acoustic, but not the other way around. And yeah, I've just got some. I like do mixing and producing now, like for a living, and I listen back, and I think there's, I mean, even Fermi just sounds really nice and warm, and this one's got kind of like a harshness to it. I don't know. You can't disagree with me. I know I'm talking on this one.
Zach Hanna, I've always related the feel of Raindrops and Living with Renee's heads with each other. Yes, you are right. We kind of covered that. They were written in a similar time period, both before either album was out or any of these albums. So yes, that's why they have a similar feel.
Emperor's Son would have been my Kickstarter pick to include on the vinyl. Please tell us about it because it's fucking awesome. Emperor's Son, we recorded that pretty early.
Yeah, it was early in the thing. I don't know why we didn't use it. I didn't necessarily like my singing so much on that song, but I liked my lyrics. Thought it had some good lyrics on there.
For anybody who doesn't know, the song Emperor's Son was a B-side from this record that made it onto Optics and Sonics. I had to do with how we was.
Craig, by 2004, I had magazines and you could still get some information on the internet on your smartphone.
I think we're about running out of questions.
I think so. I think we did a good job. We went a little over today. I figured today would be a longer one.
Yeah.
Hopefully everyone had a good time.
And if we missed your question, we'll try to kind of go back tonight and answer them in the comments. So check that out, I suppose. And thanks again for Jason and Dave kind of fielding some questions and adding some more insight into the comments. That's always appreciated and great. And they have a lot of good things to say about this.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. We got the weekend off, and we're going to start again on Monday. My hair is getting a little out of control. So between now and Monday, I'm going to have my wife cut my hair. She's never cut my hair before, so she's going to have all of you to judge. You can say how my hair is going to be. Ugh. All right, well, have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Thanks for coming. Stay healthy, stay safe, and we'll be seeing you again soon on Monday.
See you on Monday night at 7 Pacific Standard Time. to discuss The Great Filter, and that's Monday, April 20th, 7 p.m.
Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.